Welcome to Paranormal or Reality. On today's video, we explore some ghost stories from around the country that will keep you up at night. Now make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Let's begin. Each one of these houses have felt like home. Quiet, warm, peaceful, even in the dead of winter. My parents' house. Built in the 70s, normal, suburb house. We're the second owners. Nothing sad happened there or traumatic. Old family passed naturally, and their sons kind of used the place as a party house. We renovated it when I was teen. I don't live there anymore. I have no idea what's up with that house. Each person in our family has had an experience, even my skeptic mother. So, I'll just go down the list and give a timeline for activity. First couple months, about 6 months living in our house, we'd all consistently heard our names being called by another's voice we didn't recognize. Each time we got to the person who called our name, they'd literally just be vibing in their room and go, "Nope, didn't call you." Happened multiple times to everybody. I'm honestly convinced it happened to our dog too. She'd just walk in randomly and look at you like you called her name. I think this next one was within the first years of living there. I can't remember exactly when, just that I was in high school, entire family went to bed, which means we're all in our rooms and awake, but settling in for sleep. I thought I heard someone, or something, walk down the small hallway we had between all our rooms. But I brushed it off because I was terrified. Until my dad comes in. He was almost asleep apparently, and asked me if I ran down the hallway. I told him no. He then asked my sister, whose room was right next to mine, and obviously her answer was the same. I hadn't heard her get out of bed or see her walk down the hallway. Once again, I should mention he did say it wasn't the dog because she was on the floor in their room when it happened. The house got really quiet. I always, and still do, got tense in there though. This next one is probably just a horrible sleep paralysis nightmare, but I couldn't sleep or go into our living at night alone for several days. I basically had a very vivid dream that me and my sister were in our living room and being harassed by what I'll call a demon. That's kind of what I remember. In that dream, her and I were on our couch and had watched some sort of shadowy figure crawl up the curtains, on top of the rods, then disappear behind them or vanished. In my dream, I told my sister to get our parents and that I'd watch it. Then I remember being chased around the coffee table, knocked to the ground by whatever it was, and trying to scream. I was also trying to scream in real life apparently, which is why I think it was a case of bad nightmare and sleep paralysis. I remember waking up trying to scream. I felt like I couldn't, and I was in total flight or fight mode. Took me a minute, then I went to tell my mom. My dad was out of town, and slept with her. I couldn't sleep the rest of the night, and the next 2 nights I really couldn't sleep. I was too scared. That was the last of it for a long time, which was a relief, until recently. In the last couple years, my sister has told me whatever is in the house has kicked up activity again, mostly by opening and closing doors at night when she solidly knew everybody was asleep. Then during a time I was visiting, it happened to me. I was lying in bed with my mom, because my old room is now an office, staring at my phone. She's asleep and snoring. Our new family dog was also sleeping with us on the bed. Then I heard several cabinets in the kitchen open and close. I kind of just stopped for a second. There was no other noise it could have been because I've heard that sound for years. I texted my sister to see if she was awake because we both stay up on our phones at night, like everybody else. She said yes. I asked if she heard that. She said yes, then asked if it was Mom. I said no, and asked if Dad had gotten up. Even though I hadn't heard him leave his room office, there's a couch in there. She obviously said no. I obviously freaked out a little and told her goodnight. She said the same to me. Next day we talked about it more, of course, and we're just scared. At this point, we're kind of used to it after a majority of the scary things happening earlier on. But it was just a reminder, and still is, that there's something in that 70s house that shouldn't be there, and that my historical homes lack. I don't know. That house has made me a believer, and my entire family, even my mom, gets uncomfortable occasionally. At this point, we're kind of used to it after a majority of the scary things happening earlier on. but it was just a reminder, and still is, that there's something in that 70s house that shouldn't be there and that my historical homes lack. I don't know. That house has made me a believer, and my entire family, even my mom, gets uncomfortable occasionally. For starters and transparency, I don't particularly believe in the paranormal. I have had a small number of experiences that could possibly fall into the category of paranormal, or perhaps just a vivid imagination. This experience in particular happened a little over 5 years ago, and I think it will stick with me for the rest of my life. My ex and I were probably some of the most hard-headed people you can meet. And this hard-headedness led to us deciding we should construct our own house with very little help from subcontractors. I know what you're thinking. Who cares? Get to the ghosts. Well, too bad. The property we decided on had a unique history. It was owned in the early 1900s by quite a famous circus owner. On the property once sat a hotel, water tower, and fountain. Only a fountain and basement of the hotel remained. The property was divided into 4 pieces, and we purchased a piece that only had pillars and a concrete walk hidden in the woods. It was flat, high, and dry, and cheap. It was everything we were looking for. During the construction of our home, we bought a small camper to live in on the property. We had constructed the house, hired a plumber to do the plumbing, and decided to take it upon ourselves to dig for the underground power without aid of the power company. Instead, we dragged along our younger brothers with pizza, beer, and a little bit of pay. We were all working far into the night as the trencher we rented didn't quite go deep enough, so we resorted to hand digging the last few inches along the 200 feet to the power pole. Since the plumbing worked in the house, we tried our best to use the toilet inside to minimize the amount of waste in our camper tank. We were not fans of cleaning that thing out. I had to pee so bad. I left the group of guys, huddled over the trench digging, and ran into the dark house. I didn't bring a phone or flashlight. I left the front door open to allow light to come through from the lights we had illuminating our work area. I sat down and did my thing, only for the front door to slowly close. I froze on the toilet as I was completely shrouded in darkness. "I'm in here peeing," I called out, thinking it was one of the guys. There was no response. All I could hear were soft footsteps coming toward the bathroom. "This isn't funny," I yelled, thinking surely it must be my ex pulling a prank on me. The footsteps grew closer and stopped right in front of the open bathroom door. "Stop, please. I really don't like this. It's not funny." I felt my heart beat hard against my chest. "David, stop. For real." I could hear what sounded like a soft chuckle from outside the door. Furious and scared, I threw the toilet paper roll. It hit nothing but the floor. "David? Please stop. You're really scaring me." Nothing. Not a single response. I hurriedly pulled up my pants and stood near the toilet, fear gripping my chest. There was no way I was walking out of that bathroom. No way. So, I didn't. We had a small bathroom window, a bit off the ground, and I climbed out of it as fast as I could. I scraped my arm on the brick getting through, but I didn't care. I ran around the dark side of the house to where the boys worked in the light and saw them all intently working on the trench. "That was so not funny, David," I said, tears still stinging my eyes and my chest aching. "What wasn't?" he asked, looking up from where he kneeled over digging. I could tell in that moment when they all looked at me that he was telling the truth, and they were oblivious. So, who closed the door so quietly and methodically? Whose footsteps did I hear? Was the soft chuckle my imagination? Following that incident, we completed the house and finally moved in. Our front door would lock us out unexpectedly and for seemingly no reason, despite us changing the lock multiple times. We ended up keeping a spare key outside after being locked out one night with no phones or keys. I awoke from my sleep to find a dark figure standing at the edge of our bed. We heard someone whistle a soft tune when we had a bonfire in the middle of the night. The combination of it all makes me now lean towards something being there on that property, but the skeptic in me loves to deny. Thanks for tuning in. Watch another video if you dare.